Listen to me. The surface world is a mess. Life under the sea is better than anything they have up there. So today, I'll be looking at Pathfinder's most iconic undersea race, the Merfolk. Baby, it's better down where it's wetter. Take it from me. Okay, I'm gonna stop before a certain soulless megacorporation decides to take an interest in what I'm doing. I'll be breaking down the ability scores and racial traits of Merfolk, and giving you some of the better class synergies in Pathfinder 1E, as well as how to mitigate their biggest weakness, the lack of feet. Because flopping your fins, you won't get too far. Damn it, I did it again. However, before we start, if you're in need of a Pathfinder 1E adventure, have a look at Sorceress, the Dietrich House. Designed for a party of 4 level 3 characters, this adventure has sinister mysteries, unsolved crimes, and a haunted house full of lurking terrors to challenge your players. As well as unexpected treasures courtesy of the dynamic and thematic loot system, which makes for compelling rewards for those willing to brave the depths of the Dietrich House, available right now on DriveThruRPG. Now then, let's dive into Merfolk in Pathfinder 1E. Merfolk are medium-sized category creatures. They are humanoids with the aquatic subtype. This subtype means that they do not need to make swim checks and can breathe water. Additionally, Merfolk have some interesting ability score modifiers, +2 to dexterity, constitution, and charisma. No negative modifiers, which is unusual for player races in Pathfinder 1E. However, speed is where they get you. Merfolk have a 50-foot swim speed, again, no swim checks required. However, they have a 5-foot walking speed. You get on the deck and flop like a fish. Merfolk also get bonuses in the AC department with a +2 natural armor bonus. Merfolk are legless and cannot be tripped. Finally, Merfolk are amphibious. Even though Merfolk have the aquatic subtype, they can survive indefinitely out of water. Alright, now let's talk about some of the Merfolk alternative racial traits. One that is highly recommended for many adventurer Merfolk is Strong Tail. This changes your move speed to 15 feet when walking, and gives you a 30-foot swim speed. Another option you have access to is Dark Vision. This gives you dark vision out to 60 feet and light sensitivity. This replaces your low light vision. Another option is Sea Singer. This gives you a +2 racial bonus to perform sing checks. It also gives you a +1 to the DC of language-dependent spells, such as Command. This replaces low light vision. Finally, the alternative racial trait, Secret Magic. This gives a +1 to the DC of enchantment spells you cast. Also, if you have a charisma score of 13 or higher, you gain the following spell-like abilities. You can at will speak to animals with the aquatic subtype. And 1 time per day, you can cast either Fins to Feet or Hydraulic Push. The Fins to Feet spell is another way to mitigate your legless condition. Alternatively, you could cast the Hydraulic Push spell. This replaces your armor trait and alters your swim speed to 40 feet instead of 50. Alright, now that you understand the stat bonuses and racial traits of Merfolk, let's talk about some of the classes that benefit this race. These are classes that utilize things like dexterity and charisma. First up, don't sleep on the martial classes. Merfolk make very good spellcasters, but there are some great martial options, such as Swashbuckler. Your charisma bonus means you're going to have a large pool of panache to fuel your deeds. You get the Weapon Finesse feat as a bonus feat at first level, which will allow you to take advantage of dex-based weapons. And you can use your charisma score instead of your intelligence score when taking certain combat feats. Finally, the Swashbuckler class feature, Nimble, gives you a dodge bonus to AC when lightly armored. This gives you your dex modifier, and your natural armor bonus, and your dodge bonus to AC. so you'll have a lot of close-range survivability. Your other really fun martial option is Barbarian. This will let you turn your Little Mermaid into a real sea monster. Your bonuses to Constitution, Armor, and Charisma will make you very powerful and intimidating. Another good feature of Barbarian for Merfolk is the bonus to movement speed. This will allow you to overcome the limitations of leglessness in short order, especially if you took the Strong Tail racial trait. Also, your Constitution bonus means that your rages will last longer right out the gate. Finally, you can do a lot with fear effects because of your Charisma bonus. Intimidation is Barbarian's go-to persuasion skill, and you have rage powers that will allow you to do even more things with it, like the Intimidating Glare rage power. Now let's talk about Merfolk spellcasters, starting with the Bard. Merfolk bards have a lot of potential as both enchanting sirens and fishy force multipliers. Both alternative racial traits, Secret Magic and Sea Singer, increase the DC of bard spells like Gias, Suggestion, and Demanding Message. This will give you a +2 bonus. Your Charisma score is also an asset to class features like spells and skills. You get lots of rounds of bardic performance, and that +2 to sing checks from Sea Singer will let you take advantage of the bard's versatile performance class feature. So you can use your sing skill in place of sense motive. Bard also has some great archetypes. I particularly enjoy Arcane Healer, which gives you some really great party support and heal options. Finally, Bard weapons, like Rapier, Shortbow, and Whip, are good for dex-based characters. Another fun option is Mesmerist. This class is much like the Bard, but more specialized, and better capable of luring your enemies to their watery doom with enchanting undersea magic. Also, like the Bard, you should consider Sea Singer and Secret Magic. As a Mesmerist, you have an excellent favored class bonus. This grants you a new Mesmerist trick every 4 levels. Finally, your Dexterity bonus works well with the Mesmerist's eclectic weapon proficiencies. Another class option to consider is the Seducer Witch. This archetype allows you to use your Charisma score in place of your Intelligence score as your spellcasting ability modifier. A Merfolk Seducer Witch is potentially a great control and utility caster. Your favored class bonus allows you to add +1 to the caster level of one of your patron spells. This can increase to a maximum bonus of +3. I would particularly recommend the Trickery Patron, which has spells like Mirror Image that really benefit from the increase to the caster level. You also have the Familiar class feature, which has a lot of cool options from the improved Familiar feat and Familiar archetypes. You can even do cool stuff with basic ones, like the Giant Isopod or Turtle, which give you a +1 bonus to your natural armor. Finally, your hexes will give you a lot of options depending on your playstyle. You have options for control, utility, healing, and more. For some real fun, you could try Leshy summoning, and grow your own army of seaweed leshies. Also, the Misfortune Hex is a classic go-to to curse your enemies. Now, if you're interested in a Divine Caster Merfolk, I would recommend Oracle. You're going to want to pick your Oracle curse carefully. Avoid ones that reduce your already very hampered movement speed. Curses like Haunted, Tongues, and Hunger are good choices for a Merfolk Oracle. Now, if you want a mystery that's really on brand, I would recommend the Waves mystery. It's got some cool ice and water-themed revelations for you to use in and out of combat. Finally, you'll have access to the Cleric spell list, which has a lot of powerful options for healing and buffing. Finally, let's talk about probably my favorite class option for Merfolk, Sorcerer. This arcane casting class has great synergy with your ability scores, and a few very powerful options for multiple playstyles. You can be a devastating arcane damage dealer with the Draconic Bloodline. This gives you bonuses to damage for specific elemental types and buffs your already strong natural armor. You could also do a great enchantment control character, with either the Infernal or Fey bloodline. By the way, bonus points if your Infernal Merfolk can explain the difference between a trident and a pitchfork. These two bloodlines give you bonuses to either Charm or Compulsion enchantment sub-school spells, both of which work nicely with secret magic. However, I would only recommend Sea Singer for the Fey bloodline, as language-dependent spells like Demanding Message, Gias, and Suggestion are all compulsion. Now that you understand some of the great class options available to you, let's talk about your life without legs and how to deal with it. By far the easiest way is to play in an aquatic campaign. There are a few out there, like the Skull and Shackles Pathfinder Pirate Adventure. Alternatively, the Strong Tail alternative racial trait is really good. It's just a flat increase to your land speed at the detriment of your swim speed. Another good option that you have access to is the Fins to Feet spell. Your tail becomes a set of legs, allowing for walking, dancing, running, and strolling down the, street. Your land speed is appropriate for a creature of your size, your medium, so 30 feet. The spell lasts for 1 hour per level. It's a 3rd level spell for druids, shaman, sorcerers, wizards, and witches. If you're interested in getting a wand of Fins to Feet, the price is spell level times caster level times 750 gold pieces. Assuming a wizard does the crafting, they get the spell at 3rd level, and they get 3rd level spells at 5th character level, the price will be 11,250 gold pieces. This will give you 50 charges, and each charge will give you 5 hours of walking time. A pricey mid-game item, but still invaluable. The last option I'd like to go over, and one that I consider to be the most fun, is the Floating Disc spell. This spell conjures a 3-foot wide disc that hovers 3 feet above the ground and moves as you direct. It's your personal floating palanquin. Now, it does move at your walking speed, but that's about the caster. So if another party member can cast it for you, you'll get the benefit of the 30 feet. A wand of floating disc at level 3, this will give you 3 hours of movement and 300 pounds to work with, will cost 2,250 gold pieces for 50 charges. Now that's all fine. But if you want to have some real fun, let me tell you about the magic trick floating disc feat. This allows you to manipulate the disc beyond its normal limits and perform tricks if you meet the prerequisite. If you have 3 ranks in fly, your disc gains a fly speed of 30 feet, but can only go 5 feet above the ground. If you have 3 ranks in fly and shield proficiency, you get the defensive disc trick. As a move action, if you have a free hand, you can use the disc to gain a +4 shield bonus to your AC. If you have 6 ranks in fly, mobility, and shield proficiency, you get drifting defense. If you move at least 10 feet, you can use the defensive disc trick as a swift action instead of a move action. Finally, if you have 6 ranks in fly, you can spurn gravity. You can fly higher than 5 feet, but you must return to a stable surface before the end of your movement or fall. If you fall, you are knocked prone on your disc. However, as a swift action, you can reduce the duration of the spell to 1 round per level and fly 50 feet, ignoring all altitude limitations. Next, I'd like to talk about some items associated with Merfolk. Because stuff, isn't it neat? First up, potion sponges. This item actually comes from Undine, but it isn't much of a stretch to assume that Merfolk could have them too. This is basically a sponge that's been soaked in a potion and coated with an edible wax that you can chew underwater to gain the benefits of a potion. This does not change the base price of the potion. You could also add some interesting merfolk flavor to crafted magical items, such as wands being made from bone, coral, or driftwood, and scrolls and spellbooks being scrimshawed onto bone or carved as runes into stones. Now, I'd like to end this look at the merfolk race in Pathfinder 1e with some inspiration. Let's begin with the obvious one, The Little Mermaid. There are a bunch of different versions of this story, some more creatively bankrupt than others. The Disney animated version from the 80s is really, really good. The animation is fantastic, the story is fast-paced and well-told, and they do a lot with the setting and character of Ariel. However, I would also very highly recommend looking at the original version by Hans Christian Andersen. It's definitely darker than the Disney version. The Little Mermaid, well, I won't spoil the ending. Another childhood favorite that has merfolk is Peter Pan. Mermaids live off the coast of Neverland and drown people, 'cause that's what they do. They're always implied to be dangerous, as merfolk often are in stories, legends, and folklore. Also, have a look at the merfolk in Magic the Gathering. They're one of the iconic blue races, and have some fantastic flavor text for their cards. My favorite comes from the 2014 reprint of Coral Merfolk. Early sailors thought they were tricks of the mind, or perhaps manatees. As more and more ships were classified as lost to manatee attacks, the truth began to dawn. Magic does some great things with theming its merfolk to the plane that they're from. Merfolk associated with Dominaria have a great high fantasy feel, and fit very well in settings where magic and exotic creatures are commonplace. The merfolk of Ixalan are very sword and sorcery, the way they strike from the jungles and rivers, and the lost city that they keep watch over. They're a great way to work merfolk into a more dark fantasy adventure. Finally, Lorwyn and Throne of Eldraine merfolk are very fairy tale inspired. Next up, if you'd like a more serious take on The Little Mermaid versus Cthulhu, with a giant Giga Chad sword bro right in the middle of it, I would recommend the Sea God arc of Berserk, where Guts teams up with some friendly Marrows to fight something that looks like it could have escaped from one of Junji Ito's works. The Marrows are magical creatures with enchanting voices and magical wards that help them fend off the evils of the deep. Now, if you're looking for some Warhammer flavor, I would recommend the Idolith Deepkin from Age of Sigmar. These are really sea elves, but they've got great aquatic-themed armor designs and shark cavalry. If you're a comic fan, consider the comic series Fathom from Aspen Comics. It's very similar to Aquaman and features two aquatic races known as the Blue and the Black. Both are armed with advanced technology, hydrokinesis, and a nebulous hatred for the surface world. Next, there's the world of The Witcher, where an actual mermaid does show up in one of the stories. Also, there are the very mermaid-like sirens, which mash up the Greek sirens and more traditional and dangerous merfolk together into winged sea predators that lure poor sailors to their doom. Finally, I have to mention H.P. Lovecraft, who made extensive use of the sea and the ocean in his horror stories. I think Shadow over Innsmouth and Dagon are particularly noteworthy, mostly for their thematic elements. Things like Deep One Gold. The golden treasures associated with the Deep Ones and that they use in trade are bizarrely proportioned and oddly alloyed, and occasionally seen in coastal towns. The Great Old One Dagon is seen represented on large stone monoliths, with depictions of hunts of large sea creatures like whales conducted by Deep Ones. Finally, there's the strange behavior of fish around Innsmouth, and the curiously large catches that fishermen from that bedraggled port town can bring in. Thank you very much for watching this race analysis of Merfolk in Pathfinder 1e. If you're interested in books, miniatures, and gifts for D&D or Pathfinder, check out Noble Knight Games. You'll find a link down in the description. Also, if you're interested in a haunted house adventure, check out Sorceress, the Dietrich House, available right now on DriveThruRPG. Finally, if you'd like to take your game further, join the D6 Damage Discord. We have great discussions about all aspects of the game, character builds, strategy guides, and much, much more. You can find a link down in the description.